Alright, so before we get started on the drive shaft, we are going to work on the front end of the car. So now that our engine's in, we have to kind of chop up our core support, which holds our radiator, our fan, as well as our hood latches and everything else. So first thing, because the alternator sticks out a little bit extra, we do need to clearance this, similar to what we did with the frame rail, to make sure that it clears. So now actually getting it in the right spot, we can see that the front engine mount, that brace, actually comes in contact. So we need to remove all of this. And now we can kind of check our radiator to see how it's going to fit. Still not 100% sure what we're doing with the radiator though. We do need to clear some of the bumper mounts as well. We'll be able to tie our bumper back into the frame, but leave it like this for now. Alright, so I have the drive shaft out of the GSX, and on the Mitsubishi, it is a 3-piece drive shaft, and I'm going to be reusing it for the Mini Cooper. But the problem with using it in the original sense is the gas tank actually sits right up to this point here in that last section of the drive shaft, so we actually can't mount that rotation point, otherwise it'd end up be bolting straight to the gas tank. So what we're actually going to do, we're going to take this end piece and actually swap it with the front piece that mounts inside of the transfer case. And what that's going to allow us to do is this rear section is actually going to run from the differential in front of the gas tank, mount to the transmission tunnel, go forward, mount again to the transmission tunnel, and then run up to the transfer case there. So that's going to allow us to bypass the whole gas tank issue, keep our factory gas tank in place, and keep everything nice and stock. Alright, so in order to get this drive shaft apart, the way that the pins are held in is with these snap clips. Now, apparently the rebuild kits for this is the same as rebuild kit for the rear U-joint, so I should just be able to pop out this clip, take the pin out, switch this U-joint part with the rear U-joint piece, and flip the shaft around and be all set. Alright, we got the snap ring out. Took quite a bit, and I had to use basically a combination of a utility knife in a way I shouldn't, a flathead in the way I shouldn't, a hammer in the way I shouldn't, snap ring pliers in the way I should, along with channel locks that, probably the same way I would use channel locks, and the punch didn't help at all. So, now that I got that out, I can flip it, hammer this pin out from the other side, and I can leave this snap ring in on this side, even though it's popping out a little bit. Maybe I should have started with that side, whoops. And then that'll let me remove this part of the U-joint. Alright, so we're going on to the car here. Due to the cramped quarters, I have to use the cell phone camera, so forgive me on that. So here's what we're looking at for the drive shaft. So we flipped the U-joints on the rear and the front, and that fits perfectly, and hilariously enough, the mounting point for the U-joint carrier bearing lines up perfectly with those subframe bolts. I mean, like, basically dead on. So that does need a new carrier bearing because that is all cracked and rotted and split. So what I'm actually going to do is, instead of getting a GSX one, because the GSX one's actually offset, so one side sits higher than the other side, they're not dead center, I'm going to get an aftermarket one that allows the carrier to ride a little bit higher. So basically to keep it a little bit better alignment here under the car. And what that's going to allow me to do is also keep the mounting points level. Currently this is the angle I'm looking at here coming off the U-joint, so I'm going to measure what that angle difference is. I can always lower this drive shaft a little bit. The tricky part is going to be having the exhaust and the drive shaft share this line here. Although it's really big in the front, it gets very, very small when it cuts through the gas tank. So I'll have to get crafty with how we're going to have our exhaust go on that. Taking a look down here on our drive shaft clearance. And I just got a tire holding up the rear right now, but obviously the differential goes right there. That actually ends perfectly flush with the end of the gas tank, which means the differential will not collide with the gas tank, and we'll have plenty of space in the rear. So that is what we're looking at here. Look at that perfect alignment. Tight fit.